my rant is going to be AI.
Well,
I'll do it now.
now's the time. I mean,
All right.
It's rant or rave.
Rant or rave.
Hooray, put on the... I don't know. It's going to be music.
No.
Dun.
Oh.
Rant or rape. Rant or rape.
All right, Jesse, kick it off.
My rant is about AI because, okay, don't get me wrong. I love a ChatGPT moment of like asking it to help me with like a complicated email or trying to be like, get all my thoughts across, but using it in a creative space, I feel like takes away from humanity. Like we are here to create, we are here to kind of like take whatever's in our head and like put it on a screen or write or whatever we may do, put it in art. And I feel like if you're just using now artificial intelligence to do so, I just feel like it takes away from the human of things and the personality of things. So like, I am just like, I like it in terms of like, yeah, I have an idea in my head. Let me see what kind of image it could generate. So then I could then take that and utilize that to then create something. For example, like a storyboard. If I'm like, oh, I want a close up of a guy standing here doing this and it generates that, then I could actually use that as reference when I go to shoot the thing. But using it to actually be the final product is where I draw the line. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that made any sense.
well,
but
we talked about this a little bit on our last show with our buddy Keith before the new year. Illustrator, fantastic illustrator. And one of the things that stuck with me that we said from that show is that someone who promotes it's hard to like for me to respect somebody that uses completely artificial art. That was kind of the line that we all kind of agreed on. We're like, yeah, there's really, because you know that you didn't do that. So it's like, even if you want to call yourself a prompt engineer or, you know, what all these new terms that we're coming up with, for us personally, I feel like everyone kind of agrees that like, I mean, just can't really respect it as an art form.
You know, it's
as cool as eye candy-ish as it is, as cool as it looks, as good as it looks.
You want to hear a crazy conversation I just had, like literally last week?
No.
So, okay.
Podcast over.
This is how I get this all the I get this all the time. So I'm getting married this year, so I'm just trying to pick up some.
Shout out
like,
Louisa.
Thank you.
What the heck?
Big shout out to the love of my life, Louisa.
Yeah, I don't know how she puts up with him.
I don't know either.
We love Louisa.
So you know, I'm trying to pick up some extra like video jobs and stuff. So I found myself with some availability. So I'm like, you know what if I like lowered my rates a bit? I'm not going to do like full DP rates, you know, for like whatever, not like for like, you know, like some of the typical syndicate jobs. Like if they just get me in a camera, like what would that look like? So I literally just start going around and I start reaching out to friends, and I reached out to one guy who owns a business, like a multi-million-dollar business. And I go, hey dude, you know, cause I've shot for this guy before. And I go, I'm wide open this month. And you know, like my rates aren't going to be the same. You know, I just want to make a little extra money. You know, can I help you out with your business? Can I shoot for you? You know, we'll do a couple reels, whatever. And he goes, nah, man. He's like, I'm just using AI now for video and stuff like that to like promote my business and stuff like that.
I like how blunt that.
Right. So,
no, I'm just using just AI now.
But here's what I did was I was like, so then I had mentioned, because I context, I didn't mention that I was lowering my rates. And then I mentioned that I was lowering my rates. And then he was like, okay, we'll get on the phone and we'll talk. So it's like, yeah, like by default, people are going to like want to and try to use AI because they think they need something, but it's not going to ever be as good as the real thing. It's not going to ever be as good as the real thing. Like even, you know, like just even from an emotional, you know, perspective, like AI can't mimic human emotion the way that we, you know, create.
Do you think it's like a yet kind of thing? Because you're talking like,
I'd be lying
10, 20 years.
I'd be lying to you. Like I would even say honestly, like, cause I kind of warned people about AI in 2023, because there was a statistic that was basically talking about how AI was getting 2,000% smarter every single day. Maybe it's even 2 years.
So am I.
So it's probably more now because that was in 2023.
Our very own John Henry over here, man versus machine.
I am personally going to take down AI.
You're the only person who's ever gotten that reference.
John Henry was a mighty man. Yeah, right? I love that movie. Or that was actually a short film, right?
It was like
it was a short film from Fantasia.
It's like a story from like the 1800s or something.
Well, yeah, it was a story from the 1800s, but Disney also did their own short film to it, I think in Fantasia.
Oh, is that where it's from? Because I've always seen like the animated. All right, it's besides the point.
Yeah.
Sorry, this podcast episode is called ADHD, one hell of a drug.
I mean, you get all four of us who all kind of have some form of
Facts.
ADHD in a room.
Everyone's got
It becomes like
something
a
here.
feedback loop.
We were
AI.
talking
That's a
about
good
AI.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say I've said no to clients who have asked for it too.
What do they ask exactly?
Yeah, what do they ask?
So I had a client recently, which bless their heart, new to the process, but we shot the whole thing already, and they wanted to incorporate like one other shot, and they were like, we could just use AI and like incorporate it, and I was like, yeah, but that's gonna kind of shit on almost like your cinematographer, your director, your VFX person.
Just on the whole, it taints the entire project.
Because it's like, why didn't we have that person do it, or the work's not good enough that like we have to add it. So I just was like, I kind of explained it to them like that, and they were totally understanding, but it was obviously not a thought in their head. But to me, that's how I look at it. It's like, we shot this whole thing. We have to use what we have and use the talent that we have to create the product, as opposed to being like, well, I thought of this thing that I want to add now with AI. And so that was kind of what they wanted, like a whole shot added into the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, someone who gets probably some requests for AI work is, I'm curious Ryan's opinion on this. Do you anything going through your head on this, Rye Dog?
Yeah, well,
because I feel like we've talked about this before.
Can you hear me right now? Because I've been trying to.
I'm sorry. I turned you down. Go ahead, Rye. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah, I was trying to interject because I.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had you turned down for some reason.
He was waving.
Oh, you could tell me he was waving. That's all right. I'm sorry, Rye.
Is it if it's feedbacking, just let me know.
Nope, you're good.
Okay. Well, my first question was, I'm mostly a VFX artist, so I'm like been using it a lot for VFX.
Which your stuff is fire, by the way, dude.
Thank you, I appreciate that. But my question is, do you think it has a place in VFX?
Well, it's funny. I read, I think the VFX union, I think, like advocates for AI, but not to the fullest extent of just like replacing like a whole team of people. You know what I mean? It needs to be used as a tool, but within like certain boundaries. Like I and don't quote me on that in regards to like what the VFX like unions and stuff say, but like, there is a lot of VFX artists that like advocate, like, cause think about it, like, motion tracking, like on After Effects, that's AI, you know what I mean? To completely get rid of AI is like, kind of this convoluted issue where, for a long time, VFX artists have been using AI, but to completely replace the full tactical art form and way of going about creating, the actual project is, I don't think that one type and create everything should suffice or justify replacing a whole team of VFX artists, So
yeah, I mean, it's been pretty monumental for me the past year because I've been able to take on a lot more projects that I didn't have the hard skills to do, but I have the vision for, so I can kind of like use it as like this assistant that can do whatever, but I'm only delivering things that I know are passing my check of like, and I'm somewhere in the middle of the like AI kind of political spectrum of like, I'm not really a fan of people that are using it for fully generated shots, like to actually insert into narrative films or the commercials. I'm like, it is what it is, but I'm kind of like on the edge about it. Or anyone that's making like a film fest entry with AI, it's like, really, like you couldn't just shoot it. But for VFX, like I've been taking the approach of, I'm only going to manipulate imagery that's been actually shot, or use it as like a stock element tool. Like, oh, I want to like custom fire elements, where I need to manipulate like this section of video, or I want to create a seamless transition between two real clips that can't possibly happen in real life, but it's going to look really cool if I speed it up and add a bunch of blurs and like extra stuff. So I'm basically using it almost like a CGI replacement because I don't actually do CGI work. Like I just finished a project this week where we had, it was for an e-commerce brand, and they had kind of like custom costuming for like ballet dancers. And they wanted to basically create a porcelain doll version of their models. So I was able to kind of filter it with AI, create full 360 rotations, and then match it up 1-to-1 with the original models, then create a transition from the live action to the fake. It basically looks like a CGI model. It could have been done in CG, but for me as a freelancer, I didn't have those skills, and it was a small budget, so I was able to just kind of do it in-house as opposed to trying to find like a CGI modeler and a lighting person and fully render it, and then have all the edits to like tweaking this and that. So yeah, in a way, someone could have done it, but also like now I can do it. So that's kind of like,
Well, this is the thing too, is this is marketing for like a brand too. I feel like in my head, I'm trying to separate of like, are we accepting this if companies are paying for it, and it's like a in my head I'm separating of like, oh, marketing versus a film, which is supposed to be like more emotional experience. And like if I saw like, you know, AI used in a theater setting, it would, you know, completely take me out of it and be like, oh, what the fucking nobody made this. If I'm just seeing it on a billboard in Times Square and a company wants to pay for that, that's kind of a money thing. Like,
well, even what Ryan's saying also has issues with it too, of like, he's saying, oh, the client didn't have a big budget, but he's able to do it because he's a freelancer. So why is the company expecting these big
right.
VFX kind of things with no budget? And isn't that a bad mentality going forward for clients? For like, oh, we can have things that look big budget and not have to pay the people to actually do it. And isn't that part of the problem?
I do somewhat agree with that.
Like,
yeah. And also like the fact that I had no control over a lot of things, like they had certain edits to the way it looked and this and that. I'm like, I really can't control that. And that's all prefaced when I work with them I'm like, this is an experimental thing. And they know that. But you know, like they had to tweak a certain like element on the thing, and I'm like, I can't. Like I have to regenerate it and hope that it's gonna do it right. So
Well, I think that well, I mean, going down to even like the corporate like advert end, like my grandfather was a commercial artist, and he was actually like he painted like what are they called, like hyper realistic paintings, you know, to like where they looked like photographs. Like my grandfather won like these prestigious like artist awards for commercial end, and to see how even on a commercial end it was still considered art. But I think because we see so much of it now and we just kind of mentally treat it as slop, we forget that it's art. Because by the end of the day, like Syndicate, like we got our start doing a lot of like commercials and ad work. And even though, and as much as I agree with you in regards to corporations should be paying more because they have the budgets for these, but this is how they take advantage of a lot of like little guys, because they're like, so for an example, you got a company like Coca-Cola, right? And they did this a lot with like subjected but not limited to, you know, a company like Coca-Cola, where during the height of the pandemic, they were going around and DMing people because they needed more content. They needed more user-generated content. And they would reach out to people and be like, hey, listen, we love your work, but we only have $500. And for you, the creator, like, damn, I really want to get a Coca-Cola stamp on my website, on my portfolio, but they're not willing to budge. That's taking advantage of somebody. You know, that's taking advantage of somebody.
I think people are using exposure as currency now. Like, think about even influencers are like, we'll reach out to, like influencers will reach out to videographers or, you know, cinematographers and be like, if you do a free video for me, I'll give you a shout out. And like, you do weigh it out because you're like, oh, that's a lot of exposure.
It is kind of worth it sometimes.
And it could like lead.
Sometimes it can be, yeah.
I was like, it could lead to like more clients down the road, and this is great for my resume. But at the same time, it's like not being valued as an artist. So it's like a weird.
It's relative to the person too. Of like, if it's valuable to you, don't overexert yourself. Don't kill yourself for it if it's not going to actually pay you anything.
Exactly.
Also, having stuff like that, I can tell you it doesn't lead to more business for me.
No,
So,
it doesn't.
because it's only going to the other person's audience, which doesn't know what my thing is. So the only time I'm getting business is if I put out organic content that maybe if it gets reshared, that's a good thing. But as a collab post, it doesn't do as well as I always thought it would.
Right. And this is why it's important to do your due diligence when a company is asking like for less, right? So it's like if they're asking for less, don't give them the same value. You know what I mean? Like take away things. Don't give them the same exact value. Take away things. But like one of the things that we like, so we've worked with a lot of influencers. Like when we first started Syndicate, one of the biggest things that we did was we worked with influencers who were huge within like kind of like, you know, the acting or cinema realm or whatever. And that actually ended up getting us a lot more students, especially if they were local influencers. And then that also got us more clients, because if you work with an influencer that is literally in the same field as you, and like now that makes sense, but you can't just look at follower count. You also have to look at what's their engagement like, you know, like how many likes do they get? How many comments do they get, right? Is it above average, you know? So what can you expect from this shout out? So I don't go for the whole, oh, this person's got 1 million followers type thing anymore. I just want to see like if they're in the same field as me and if that return is expected. Like if I'm going to be lowering my rates, I need to know that there's a guarantee. So like I've worked with I have a really good friend that I did a couple like, lower budget music videos for last year. And the guarantee was it's a smaller shoot, but he's basically doing visualizers with huge people. So I have a guarantee of meeting these celebrities and getting their contacts and stuff, which every single time that I did makes sense. So that's now valuable, right? So you kind of have to pick and choose. Like if someone's asking you to do something for less, is it going to be worth it for you to do so? And if not, what value are you going to take away from them so that way it makes sense for you to do the job if you are still going to, want to do it for a day that you're not doing anything, So that's just kind of how I see it personally.
Yeah, I've been taking lower budget things only if it's like something I'm going to learn a new skill or like, like I did some indie music video stuff or some more independent things that I ended up learning a better workflow because of it. It wasn't just, I'm just doing it because I need a little bit of money, so.
Yeah, for sure.